Now here's the 2003 Peavey Valve King VK100 MK1. It needed new filter caps. It was leaking voltage. It destroyed a resistor over here off of V2. We weren't getting any volume off the second channel, the gain channel, due to that. And it had some pretty horrible tones coming through because it just had bad leaky voltages going on. Someone has been in this before, I think a handful of times maybe. But I've done mods to this after fixing it. I'm in love with this amplifier. It's absolutely amazing now. No volume on the dirty channel. That's V2 here. Discovered that the 100K resistor here going to B plus was dead in the water. These filter caps are bulging. It's hard to see here, but they are. This one you can feel it with your finger. Put your finger in here real quick. Feel that. Go ahead. See? So I got me some new ones, a little bit smaller. Nice and flat, ready to go. After that's done, we're going to test it, make sure it works. Then this thing is going to get a plethora of mods. We're getting the JCM 800 mod, the Mesa mod, jumper mod for the effects in, take the blanket off the amp, putting an analog voltmeter on the back here, so I can test the milliampage of the output tubes and bias those correctly. I'll be putting a bias trim pot on here, 3296, a little square guy. There'll be a hole in the back of the chassis. Use a small screwdriver. I'll have a switch. You can switch between all 4 tubes and then on and off, so when you're playing it's not spiking the whole time. Keep that thing in good shape. It's gonna be pretty cool, and then I'm gonna put it online and sell it to you. Hot, so I'm gonna make this quick, but pulled them filter caps out. One went flying across the floor, but they're bulging at the top. You can kind of see it better now, I believe, you know, in comparison to the new ones. You can kind of see a difference a little bit, and they say smaller's better in this world. I don't know, we'll find out. I'll have to email Mauser. That was a pain in the butt, but the traces are good there. Them are the big thick ones. The ones I'm worried about is everything else. And somebody replaced this cap here and one of the diodes, and they were smart enough not to mess with the trace. They just cut it and put it to the next connection point, which makes sense on something like this. Here's that 100K resistor there at V2 that needs replaced. It was dead in the water, but the trace situation that I'm talking about now, this one, you can see this one here if I can show you. That one's okay. I mean, it's wallered out, but we're gonna thicken it up with some solder. But this one down here is completely disconnected. So I'm gonna bend that lead over. That lead is lifted. If I can find my place here again. So I'm gonna bend that over, create a solid lead, and then I'm gonna run a jumper here and here, so there's no issues there. But I'm gonna be running into that through this whole build because these traces lift right off. The only strong ones are these guys. Psh, psh. New filter caps are installed. That nasty looking stuff will get cleaned up. That's just solder flux paste that I use to help me wick up the old solder and get the old ones removed and the new ones stuck in there. So I used the leg off of one side of the resistor and bent it over to this side, cut it off the extra length and soldered it on, because that's where the trace is going. It's going here to this pin, and it's going to this to just make sure that there's no breaks and that, you know. So that's what I'll be doing all over the amp. Yeah, them's real pretty. Real pretty. I'll be putting silicone in there, of course. There's that 100K.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna kill her. At least not until I found out what she knows.
I installed new resistors and caps in the power section that you can't see on this side, but so a lot of these high gain tube amps come out of the factory with a fixed bias, and they just set it in a spot that works for everything, and they can mass produce it, get it out the door. Well, these come real cold. Where you want to set these is about 70% max dissipation. On your 6L6 you're looking at somewhere around 46 milliamps per tube. This amp was sitting at around 29 milliamps. So right now I have it at about 69% dissipation, and it just sounds perfect right there. I would go a little hotter if I could, if I felt okay about it. These are not balanced very well, which is another reason why I want to be able to individually bias the tubes, but I got to do some planning with that and make sure everything's good to go with it. But I'm doing it for sure. It's gonna happen. And over here, these two black wires, that's the bias supply. Well, there was a 39K resistor there for the fixed bias on the amp, so I shoved a 50K 3296 trim pot up in here. I use goop. I love using goop. I used to use goop to put like emblems on cars and stuff, like badges on stuff. It's just awesome stuff. Looks like hot glue, it's not. I tagged a resistor, a safety resistor on one side here. So if the wiper ever goes bad on the pot, then it won't red plate the tubes. It'll catch it here. Just a view of the back of the amp here, the back panel. And that's where the trim pot is. Stuck to the back panel with a small hole. And you just take a small screwdriver, and I've got it labeled which way is which. And in this empty section here on the chassis, we'll be getting a hole so I can install this milliamp meter back here, and there will be a rotary switch next to it and a toggle switch to turn it on and off, so it's not spiking when you're playing, keeps it in good shape. But you'll be able to bias the amp on the amp. And I'm also working at doing a mod where you can bias each individual tube by itself without needing to buy matched tubes. So that'll be something to look out for. But yeah, that's next on that. And there's a hole here in the back of the chassis where I removed that pot. I'll just be putting a plug in there unless I come up with something else to stick in there. Here's this side of the power section. nice and clean. After removing the texture pot, it created a positive bias feedback situation. The presence and resonance had to be all the way up for the amp to operate. And if you turn one of these down, like if the resonance, if you turn it down, it would squeal. It was terrible. So your texture pot is just this little guy right here. And this connection, the 4 pins there, going to the board. Right there. And there's 4 holes there. And when you take that texture pot out, you just put a jumper between the 2 middle connections, okay? That texture pot messes with the negative feedback of your amplifier. So when you remove that, and I don't know if they had these in the right place to begin with. This is how it looked when I got it. Someone took the pigtail off of it and just put it right on there, which I would have done the same thing. Let's get real. But so the blue and the brown are the ones you're concerned with on your output transformer, and those are the ones that will dictate whether you have positive feedback or negative feedback in this specific build. So whenever I took the texture pot out, got everything done, and I was playing through it, I had described that this was squealing at me. I switched these blue and brown ones around, left the red one in the middle, and that returned it to a negative feedback loop instead of a positive feedback loop, which is what was created after taking the texture pot out. Now I've got a couple switches here on the front. Mesa mod, VK mod. You can find these mods online. JCM mod, VK mod. I did some different variations for the Mesa mod and one difference for the JCM mod. Something I liked a little better. And it sounds incredible. But when you switch, so you can make it sound as good as you're going to make it sound with your VK mode, but when you switch, it changes the sweep of everything around. So then you got to find your good tone on the Mesa tone stack. So you'll have to keep that in mind with this mod. There are ways around it, it's just more work. And same with the JCM mod. And I gotta tell you, it sounds just like a Mesa, and it sounds just like a JCM, and I love it. Very good mods. So there's that switch sitting in there. There's some LEDs, and those activate when you hit the gain switch right here on the front. When that comes in, you get the extra boost and gain. They run through those guys and they light up, and it just smooths the clipping out. It's kind of nice. So the yellow wires coming off, those leads, that's for the Mesa mod. They're just 4-pole double throw switches that I used for that. I've got that nut sitting behind this cab. I'm just too lazy to go grab it, but the amp as is stock kind of has a bit of a blanket over the whole thing. It's like muffled kind of, and this happens on a couple Peaveys. That's actually something that has occurred, but worse on the 6505 plus 112. That's going to be a really awesome thing to present. I'm very proud of this one. It's going to be a little while before that happens. Back to this, the send and return, I had to put a jumper from these 2 resistors, R166, R174. You don't see it's on the other side. It's too much resistance to have without having something plugged in. A lot of guys will just plug a patch cable into here. That solves it. But if you can just make it to where it's good all the time. Yeah. Peavey VK100 all done up and got some mods done, got it biased a little hotter than it was. Through a Gibson gold top and P90s. So it's going to be really noisy on the gain channel because of that, and I'm around a bunch of lights. But I love the way this amp sounds now, so much better. Reverb for days. Switch to the gain channel, that's what we're after. That's stock. Turn the gain up a little bit, all the way up on that channel. Alright, turn that back. Let's go to the JCM mod. It shifts the tone so much through each one, you really got to go through and re-EQ it, but you do get those tone stacks, and it does sound just like the amp it's after. I mean, pretty darn close. So back to the original. Now the Mesa mod. With the gain switch pushed in, so a boost in gain on the Mesa mod. I think it sounds awesome.